what's going on. All right, Mr. Laszlo, we are live, my friend. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. So, guys, we've just done an impromptu live because it's been a very eventful evening, and I was desperate to show this to share this story with you guys. And so Laszlo was messaging me quite late last night and even early this morning because we'll share the story in just a minute. But super excited to bring this guy on. He has achieved something really, really great, and also kind of performed a little bit of a miracle, if I'm being honest. And you'll kind of hear that in the story that we're going to share with you today. Guys, let me know if anybody is here live. I know you guys are normal people are working at this sort of time, but hopefully we have a few people here. Let me know if you are here. Just drop us a comment. But importantly, you can watch the recording of this. So this will be in the group, so you'll be able to watch the recording anyway. I do actually see we do have some people live. I can see we have a few people watching at the moment. Let us know in the comments. I'm not even sure if I've made the comments live. So I'm gonna let you guys know why we're here and the story that we want to kind of tell you. And that is so Laszlo has basically been one of my students now. So how long have you been with me, mate?
I think started in July, maybe August, around the summer. Wow. I think
time flies.
Yeah, I know.
Is it just it feels a lot longer, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's gone so quick at the same time as well. It's crazy.
So quick. Just tell everyone a little bit about your background. So what was your kind of, because you already knew a little bit about trading, when you first joined. In fact, you knew a decent amount, right? Tell me a little bit about your background before, and then and now, and then we'll kind of push on from there.
Yeah, so basically I came across trading. I think it was around the end of COVID, like one of the last lockdowns, because I saw a couple of my mates were doing it, and I always wondered what it was, but I just never knew. So I asked one of them, and they started introducing it to me, and I was like, oh, I quite like the idea of having all that freedom, all the time to yourself. Basically, like what everyone like sells you about trading. Obviously, it was sold to me as well. And then I started, I had quite a few free resources, free courses and stuff like that, which I was doing for about a year, but I could just never find the consistency. I think it was trading in the zone, the boom and busters, I think Mark Douglas calls it.
Yeah.
It's just going up and down, but not really consistent. And obviously I want to do it as a career. So I thought, obviously I'm going to have to get properly educated if this is something I want to be doing. So this is obviously how I came across you as well.
Yeah, and you trusted me. That's a good thing. And I know you were probably following me for a little while. So a lot of people kind of follow me for a little while, and then we worked together. Mm-hmm. And what a journey it's been. So I'm going to let you tell the story of how you've passed, because it wasn't simple, right? I mean, I've had some students that have just either failed, but mostly they've taken the challenge, they've gone through it sensibly, and then just passed in a normal way. But this was not normal, right? So
can I just add, this is not the way I'm going to be trading. No. What you're about to explain, how I pass it, isn't really the type or style of trading I'll be doing once I actually get trading.
No, but there are some really important lessons that can be learned. And I think one of the things that I want to kind of mention is that when we have all sorts of different people, and you're one of those people actually that in my experience of you almost are a bit humble with your knowledge, and we have other types of people that think they know way more than what they actually know. So if you remember, I was actually walking and speaking to you on the phone, and I said to you, you've got to do the trading challenge, you're ready for it. And you were like, you had doubts about it, you weren't sure. But that's exactly why I said you need to do it, because you need to push yourself in an environment where you're gonna be boxed in, and you're gonna have to find a way. And there was a little bit of a risk on my side, because I know you weren't convinced, right? You weren't convinced that you were ready for it. I remember you saying that. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, I think it was more of just fear though, because it's something new, and obviously because it was important to me as well. I think it was just more of fear kicking in, not the fact. I mean, we could say I thought that I wasn't ready, but I think it was more of the actual fear element to it.
Yeah, and and I think I kind of recognize that, because I could see your work was excellent, your analysis was excellent. By the way, I wasn't paying attention, but we've got a few comments here, so welcome everybody. If we want to see your names, just accept StreamYard. There should be a link. Good morning, well done. We've got a few comments here. So good to hear that. Morning. Yeah, so chuffed for this guy. Like I said, I was even up a bit late. I was really willing him on, praying, and I got up this morning. And this is the funny thing: I don't have trades overnight most of the time, but I knew what trades he was in. And the first thing I did when I woke up this morning is I checked his trades. I was like desperate for him to pass, because I know how hard he's worked. And it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But if I'm honest, like, you passed the first phase very well, like, professionally, I would say. You did it, you were, and you got to your target in a good way, right? The first phase. Tell us a bit more about that you were kind of trading sensibly, doing well, all those kind of things. Anything that you kind of want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it was the fact that I had a proper routine, not just because obviously set of rules when it comes to trading to make sure you stay consistent, but I had a really good morning routine as well. For example, I think that's quite important and plays a big part when it comes to this as well. And I had a really good routine. I would wake up at 5 o'clock every morning. I would either exercise or go for a walk first thing in the morning, followed by cold shower, and then meditate.
Wow. You've been me. Cold shower.
Yeah, I love it. It's all about the cold showers. And then I would only look on the charts after that. Sometimes even maybe read for like 10, 15 minutes in the morning, and I would only open the laptop after that, which I thought was quite a big change, because before I never used to do that. Back in the day, what I would just do is just wake up straight on the charts, and it's just not the way forward, really.
Do you know what, Leslie? Because I think that's a really good point, and that kind of illustrates to me how badly you want it. You're willing to change your pattern. You're willing to do whatever it takes. And sometimes people think that, it's just a case of like doing a course or reading a book. You can just magically get these kind of results. And the thing I want to point out here as well is that this guy has not passed with luck. He knows what he's doing. And that's what gives me reassurance. Now, sometimes you see people passing challenges in one day, gambling, basically. They don't show you how many times they failed, by the way. They show you the time that they passed by just gambling, right? Oh, I passed the challenge in one day. Yeah, okay. Well, show me your bank account after, a year. The point is that you have a formula, right? You understand your formula, and I know we've spoken about you're gonna improve over time as well. Naturally, you're still a very young guy, but you can feel confident that you know what you're doing every day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And it gives you that belief, right? When you open up your charts, and immediately you know exactly what you're looking for, what your trade setups are. And I don't know if you've kind of got to this level, but for me, I ignore everything else. Like, do you kind of find that you're like, that's my setup, and then almost like everything else is kind of, it's nothing to do with you. It's like ignored. Would you agree with that for yourself?
Yeah, it's because you know what you're looking for, so you can just pick it out straight away, and you're not really interested in any of the other stuff. I think that was actually one of the things I was struggling with. Talking about how I was talking about I was doing all the courses before I joined with you, is I had like a base knowledge. I knew quite a few amount, and it's just obviously I started learning the stuff from you as well, and everything just mixed all together, if you know what I mean. And it's like different style of tradings, but obviously I had to like set my rules and stuff. And obviously that's the reason now I know what I'm looking for, and I completely ignore the other stuff, which I probably would have considered back in the day. And then obviously that's why I probably wasn't consistent in the first place, because I would take one trade would be this style of trade, a fake trade, for example, then the other one would be a completely different one, and it's just not consistent. And obviously that's probably why the results weren't consistent either.
Yeah, I think like because I really want this live to be really useful for people and inspire people. So if I could just already summarize some of the things that you've mentioned. Morning routine, so important, so important. I was speaking about in yesterday's coaching session a little bit, but and I've mentioned it to people lots of times. Having that consistency and actually setting yourself up mentally before you start trading with the right energy, I think makes a huge amount of difference. Rather than like what you said, which is what most people do, is they get up, they open up their chart straight away from their sleep, and they're straight in like busy. So I think that's really, really important. And the other thing you've just said there is, having that clarity, having rules that you trust, having that focus, not looking at other stuff. I think that also makes a huge difference. And I'll just add this as well, a sign of a good trader. So for those that don't know, on our elite program, I post all of my setups into our elite group. And what I find is, like, with the good traders, with the guys that are really progressing, I can see it's like a sign, is that I'll post my setup. And what Laszlo did yesterday was exceptional. So I have quite a few orders in there. There was quite a lot of trades yesterday. And if I'm honest, when I find there's a lot of trades to take, what I sometimes do is I will go for like the absolute best entry, right? So it's like, okay, because there's so many great trades, I don't want to get average entries because there's so many of them. I'm just going to place really great entries on all of these, split the risk up and so on. And then, let's see what gets filled. Unlikely they're all going to get filled, but hopefully 2 or 3 get filled. That's kind of my mentality. And yesterday you messaged me and you said, listen, Andy, I like your trade there. However, I like this level here because of these reasons. And I think I'm going to jump in here, which is a little bit before your entry point. And you got it absolutely spot on. And that trade contributed to getting you over the line, right? Because I'll tell you guys the roller coaster that he went through in just a minute, or he will tell us actually. But I think that's exceptional, man. And that is exactly the kind of thing that I want to instill in people. Don't just copy something, learn from it, think about it yourself, and then make your own decision. And that's what you did. Do you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, not really. I think all of us have, even though we do like the same style of trading and we're looking for the same setup, I still feel like there are times when we see things differently. So obviously, like you said, you identified your level, and I thought I obviously don't just blindly take your ideas. Obviously, I'll go through it for myself as well to see the setup for myself. And I just identified a level that I thought that, this could potentially be a nice turning point as well. And if I jump in too early, there's always another chance to get in higher at your level as well. So it was a win either way, really.
Yeah, but it's great because that's a good sign, guys. So you look at somebody like myself who's done this for 20 years. Obviously, I know a little bit about trading, but then, I can tell you that that's what I used to do with my mentors. Like, I would learn from a mentor, but I would always instill myself into it. Like, I wouldn't say, okay, well, I'm only doing what that person is doing. And I think that's a really important thing, is that most people, they just want to blindly copy the experienced trader. And in fact, that's one of the most common things. Hey, why don't you provide a copy trade? No, that's not. You've got to put the work in. You've got to learn how the markets work. You've got to learn about yourself. Because if I'm honest with you, Lazo, I think the biggest prize of becoming a trader, apart from the finances, is the growth that you have experienced. Now, you said it to me before we jumped on. You feel like through the process of just passing the challenge and going through the whole program, working with me for a few months. Tell me about your growth since the time when you came to me in July.
Oh, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. It's not even just trading related growth. It's just because obviously the things you use for trading, such as discipline, etc., things like that, they are good for everyday life as well, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. I've got a little list I've actually created, like I said to you on the phone as well. I've been writing up stuff as I've been going through. Every time I would make a mistake, and obviously I would analyze it and see what the mistake was and how I could solve it. So I've got a little list written down all the things that obviously I need to improve on.
Yeah.
But it's been a long way, and yeah, I have learned quite a bit. It's just how important your morning routine is, being disciplined as well, and just
You
things like
probably
that,
feel
really.
like a different person.
Yeah. I still don't even know what to say, to be honest, or what to think.
So we're going to talk a little bit about emotions right now, because this is important. This is a good lesson for everybody, right? So as I said at the beginning, for those of you, like, I think one of your things is like you're quite a humble person in terms of like your knowledge, experience, understanding of the markets. You picked it up pretty quickly, but maybe you're not one of those people that sings about it and is overconfident with it, which is good in some ways. But I think because of that, like, so you passed your first phase, that was fine. And then I think what happened with you in the second phase was you were like, you can see it now. It's so, like, for those that don't know what first phase is, second phase, first phase is much harder to pass. You've got to make between 8 and 10% in a month for the first 30 days, right? And then the second phase is half the amount, 5% in 60 days. So you think, okay, well, much easier. So psychologically, though, that kind of must have messed you up a little bit, right? In your head,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, I'm nearly there. I've nearly got 100K to trade, right?
Yeah, I was like, well, that's the hard part out of the way. It's literally around the corner now. I'll just smash this out of the way, but unfortunately it didn't go
It
as
didn't go to
easily.
plan.
It didn't
It
go to
didn't go
plan,
to plan.
unfortunately.
And like, so specifically, you stopped. Would you say you stopped doing the right stuff? Like you let the fact that now it was like, okay, now the focus is I'm just going to quickly pass this. I want to pass this and I'm going to be funded. In your head, you're almost there, right? Which was different to how you were thinking before.
I feel like because I think I was overconfident, and it just affected my perception of the market as well. So the setups I was identifying weren't the greatest setups as well. And obviously therefore that's the reason why I started losing money and giving my capital away. I think I was too focused on the end result and the fact that I've just smashed out of the phase one. I think I was overconfident, and I think that was the problem. And
Yeah.
then obviously as the results weren't really what I wanted them to be, obviously my motivation started to fade as well, and it all just linked together. And
Yes,
yeah.
we were having those conversations, and and it was, and I think a lot of it was really not about teaching you something different, but it was actually just trying to get your, I think my messages were generally just focus on the next setup, refocus, don't worry about the end goal, keep focusing on each trade, make sure the next trade is as high quality as it can be, and that's kind of what you started to do. So tell us, where did the account go to? So remember, he's got to hit 5%, he's got 60 days. How low did the account go?
-8%.
-8%. Wow. So then that left you in a position where now you had how many days to get to your 5% target?
I was -8% on the 12th of January. Obviously,
Wow.
with Christmas coming up as well, 2 weeks of not trading. So I started January the 1st with -8%.
So now you basically put yourself in a position where you needed to essentially do better than what you did on phase one, essentially. So you had a little bit over a month, but you needed to now hit 13% to pass. And by the way, guys, there's a good happy ending to the story. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be on here. He passed this morning, literally this morning. And if he looks tired, he hasn't slept. Right now, I always look tired because I don't sleep. My kids keep me up. But this guy voluntarily didn't sleep. He stayed up all night to get it over the line, right? So,
well, to be fair, I probably would have slept if I was actually able to, but I couldn't sleep anyway.
yeah, I wouldn't have been able to be honest with you, mate. So he pulled it round. Now, is there some tips, something you can share with people? Like, how did you do it? Like, not specifically, but what did you change in your mindset? If you could think about it a little bit, like, what was the difference between when you were down versus? Because I think one thing you said to me yesterday was like, because I think you were always saying to me, I don't think I can't find setups or there's not enough setups. And then what you said to me yesterday was interesting. You said to me, do you know what this whole process made me realize is there's so many good setups and I wasn't seeing them before. Right? Like, what is there anything specific that you think changed that? Like, because the setups were there. It's not like you've learned something new. What shifted for you, do you think, that you could maybe advise people?
I think for me, it was the urgency, because obviously I know how important it was to me, because obviously, like I said previously, this is what I want to do. I want to be like you, basically. I want a career out of this, and I want to keep developing and growing. And I know that I needed to get this, which is obviously the first step towards it. So it was extremely important to me. And it was that level of urgency that I was like, well, I've only got a few weeks left, a couple of days left, and I was desperate. And it was like, I don't know, suddenly the trades just came to me. It's like I knew what I was looking for again, if you know what I mean. And it just happened to be in front of me and I could just take the trades again.
You know, that is a really good sign of a top trader, because when you're put under that pressure situation, that is exactly how you need to be responding. Like, there's two types of responses that you can give there. You can buckle and you could be like, I've messed this up. And then what normally happens with a lot of people is they just start gambling, they start punting. But you know what I love about you? I know obviously you had to increase the risk a little bit to get you over the line. We know that. And that's what you were referring to before when you said, look, I'm not going to be doing that with my live account. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The most important thing that you did, though, I want to stress this, is that you didn't just start taking random trades. You followed your plan. You followed the process to find your trades. You didn't just gamble and just start punting any old trade just to get over the line. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why you've passed. Because you stayed true to your plan. You kept going. I think the only thing that you did different, like you just said there, is probably you've refocused, right? You had that extra bit of attention, and that pressure actually brought the best out of you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly that. It's just that level of urgency.
That level of urgency.
I was desperate. So I've been looking through the charts all day, every day. Whenever I wasn't at work, I would be in front of my screen all day, literally 6 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. So,
do you know, like, I like that word in some ways. It can be taken negatively, but desperate is like, it can be also taken in a really positive light, in that sometimes you need to want something badly enough. You know, there's people that have knowledge, but if you have really, and this applies to, like, you know, even some of my elite students, like, we can give you the knowledge, right? We can get you the processes, everything that you need, but then you need that 10% of like desperation, to like hunger, commitment, do whatever it takes, give up your Netflix at night, go to bed early, get up early, do your morning routine. Like, you want to be a millionaire, you want to make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K a month. Well, it's not going to happen for free. Like, there's got to be a price that you pay. And, you know, what I get from you, Laszlo, is you are willing to pay that price, and you are willing to pay that price going forward, because I know you're going to maintain it. And what great timing, right? Because you've got a holiday booked. It's as if you planned it. So he's going back to his homeland to see his family. Is it on Sunday you go?
Yeah, Sunday evening, yeah.
Sunday evening. So what a great, how long are you away for?
Next week, Friday or Saturday. So just about a week.
Amazing. That holiday is going to be the best holiday. So now he's got like a week. He can relax. He can just unwind, eat some good food. And then he knows he's coming back to trade his 100K account. And now it's real for you. This is what you've been working for. This is what you joined in July for. This is exactly the things that you wanted to achieve. And I hope people listening to this, that you're going to get inspired. You'll feel free to answer that if you want. Which provider you can answer that if you want.
It's my Forex funds. I find them. I think they're a lot better, because I used to look at FTMO all the time as well. But in terms of the challenge, it's easier because you only need to make 8% compared to FTMO, which is 10. And I think the criteria is you can lose 12% with my Forex funds, and FTMO is only 10% as well. And like you say as well, you're not allowed to hold trades overnight either. So I think my Forex funds are better in the first place anyway.
Yeah, it's the one that we normally, people ask us. It's the one that we normally recommend. We've had quite a few happy students from there, and they're one of the more sort of reputable ones. If you kind of review Trustpilot, you can see that they're one of the more reputable ones with FTMO. But yeah, I think whoever you decide to get funded with, I think the most important thing is, like, firstly, it's about consistency, making sure you're doing the right things. And I think, like, over time, you know, a lot of people kind of go into funded challenges too quickly. For you, I knew that was never going to be the case just because of your personality. I think if I didn't push you, maybe you'd still not be doing it yet. So you'd still think, I need to learn more. But I think sometimes with somebody like yourself, you need to be pushed in that deep end, because then it's going to bring the best out of you. Well, that was what I was hoping for, and it worked out that way. So yeah, I'm inspired by you, man. Honestly, like, you don't know how excited I was when I got your message this morning. Like, I mean, honestly, I woke up and I promise you, the first thing I looked at was Aussie CAD and Sterling CAD, and I was like, hope they're down, like, because he was short. You know, God.
I was looking at it all night.
Well, he could have messaged me.
To be fair, I did go on Facebook a couple times, and I saw your name with the green thing. I was like, oh, he must be up with the kids.
I was up, mate. I've had probably, just as much sleep as you, but the adrenaline that you must be feeling right now. I know you're probably absolutely exhausted, but what a great feeling, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I still can't believe it.
But, you know, it's a different feeling that you're feeling to the guys that are just punting and passing, because you've done it with the correct way. Because, you know, nothing can take away the growth that you've gone through. Nothing can take away the processes that you've built, the routines and the habits that you've built. That is your work. You know, I like to think we helped you, we guided you. However, you've done the work. You've put the graft in. You've listened, and you've taken on board everything we've said, and you absolutely deserve this. And I know this is just the start for you. You're going to start, you know, and I know this is what you want to do for your living. I know you're working at the moment part-time, but
hopefully not for too long now.
Not too long. Yeah. Don't hand in your notice just yet. Let's get payouts. But no, I know this is what you're going to be doing, and I'm very excited for you. Like genuinely really excited for you. Like I think it was I had to get him on, and I'm really grateful that you agreed to come on with me, because honestly, I think people listening to this, they're going to get inspired, because they're going to see that actually, you know, if you set yourself up, you can succeed. Like, it's not impossible for anybody to succeed. And like, is there any kind of final message you want to say for aspiring traders, you know, looking to do this? Any tips, anything that you want to share with them? Obviously, apart from, you know, joining the London Trading Institute, which is obvious.
Just make sure you follow your rules and stay consistent in your everyday life. Make sure you know what like style of trading you want to do, because obviously that's different as well, and then you can plan your life around it. Set yourself a routine up and just make sure you stay consistent with that routine. Know your goals as well. Know what you want to achieve. Know how much you want it really, and how far you're willing to go for it really.
Yeah, and probably your mindset map that you created. So obviously, like, having that clarity of, like, you know, this is what I want to achieve. That emotional attachment, I think, is really important. It's something I always say to people. Like, you know, it's not just say, hey, I want to make a bit of extra money. It's like, well, what does that look like in your life? What does that give you? What new life opportunities does that create for you? And when you marry the two together, I'm sure you'd agree, that's the formula, right? So it's like, okay, well, this is a little bit hard. There's a learning curve. There's, you know, all those things, but actually this is what I want. And what I want far outweighs this, and therefore you're willing to do this to get that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And also make sure you learn from your mistakes as well. So every trade, for example, that I get stopped out, and I try and look back and see what went wrong and see how I could improve it for the next time as well. Stuff like that. Just make sure you're always learning from your mistakes as well.
Yeah, and you're good at that as well. I've got to say, like, you're always looking to learn from your mistakes, and I think that's important as well. It's that, in fact, in my opinion, it's like mistakes are unnecessary. Yeah, because otherwise you don't improve. Like, the reality is, if we don't make the mistake, we don't learn the lesson. But the thing you don't want to do is, you don't want to make the mistake, not learn the lesson, because then it's just cost. So always look to learn. So there's so many cool things. So guys, I'm gonna let this poor guy go and get some sleep. But I want to summarize a couple of things that we've shared today. You know, morning routine. Make sure that you focus on that. Create a powerful morning routine, like the one that Laszlo spoke about. You know, I've got to say, the cold showers, I hate them. I'm not going to say that I do them.
I love them.
Well done to you for doing them, but everything else I agree with. The other thing is, make sure you have clear defined rules, understanding your edge, build that belief, to make sure that you're trusting your rules, and focus. And I think the other things that you said as well is that, you know, make sure that you have the emotional attachment, your goals. You know, what is your why? What is your strong reason for doing this? And when that outweighs the costs, and learn from your mistakes. I think that's kind of a broad summary of everything we've said. So
when you follow all of these and you stay consistent with whatever you do, eventually it becomes your identity anyway. So it'll be automatic. You won't have to focus on it anyway. So as long as you stick to it and you're consistent, eventually it will become automatic as well.
Exactly that. That's exactly what it is. It becomes just what you do. And that's when it becomes easier and more effortless. Obviously, at the beginning, it's more a case of, like, you know, you think about doing those things. So look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this stuff. So I know this wasn't a bit of an impromptu, but I think if I didn't get this guy on now, he'd probably be sleeping until tomorrow, and then he's going on holiday on Sunday. By the time he comes back, he's probably forgotten most of it. But what a great achievement. He's passed on the last day possible. On the 60th day, he's passed. He's come down from being down 8%, refocusing and getting over the line, doing an all-night and not sleeping, full commitment. I commend you, man. Well done. You can go now and enjoy your holiday. And yeah, hopefully, guys, if you're only just joining us now, watch the recording. You're going to enjoy, you know, what we've spoken about. So thanks again, Laszlo. Everybody, thanks for those that did manage to join us live. I know there was no warning to this, so hopefully you guys can catch the recording. So have a nice day. Laszlo, you go get some sleep, my friend.
I will do.
And enjoy your holiday, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Take care. Take care, guys. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.